Welcome agents, AgentHuntzman here. Today's debrief is about one of the biggest differences between average players and elite players in the Division Resurgence. Most people think fights are only won through your damage, your builds, the gear score, or even just the raw DPS. But after carefully analyzing combat behaviors, enemy reactions, positioning patterns, team coordination even, and high-level gameplay, I've realized something extremely important. The best players in this game almost never takes their fight fair. And honestly, that's exactly why they look so dominant. Because high level combat is not about standing in front of your enemies and stat checking them. It's about manipulating the battlefield itself. Good players create pressure. They control movement. They force mistakes. They isolate enemies. They stabilize aggression even and dictate the rhythm of combat. They don't wait for fights to happen, they shape them. And once you simply understand that mindset, the entire game starts feeling different. Because suddenly you stop surviving encounters and start controlling them. So in today's debrief, we're breaking down pressure angles, positioning, battlefield control, tactical aggression, forcing AI mistakes, momentum manipulation, and why elite players make impossible fights look easy. And trust me agents, this goes way deeper than just having a good build. For the first major mindset shift, I need you to understand something. Good players control the battlefield, not just the enemies. Let me explain. Average players focus on the enemies. Experienced players focus on control. And those are two completely different things, because combat in the Division Resurgence is heavily influenced by spacing, angle pressure, movement, suppression, and position influence. The moment you understand that, you stop viewing combat like a shooting gallery and start viewing it like a territorial control. For example, if your entire team fights from one single direction, enemy AI becomes stable. They settle into cover, they return pressure efficiently, they maintain formation. But the second pressure starts coming from multiple directions, everything changes. Enemy begins rotating awkwardly, abandoning their cover, exposing weak points, panicking repositioning, splitting attention even. And that instability creates openings. That's why stronger players reposition constantly, not because they're running around randomly, but because they're controlling where enemies can safely operate. And that is a huge difference. In my honest opinion, when talking about positioning, this is probably one of the most underrated mechanics in the entire game. Simply because pressure angles win the fights. Most players think positioning means simply to find cover and shoot. But positioning is actually about creating pressure angles. And don't forget that, because pressure angles are devastating against AI behavior. Because enemy AI struggles completely when threats come from multiple directions simultaneously even. For example, if enemies only need to focus on one player, their behavior stays organized. But the moment another player shifts to the side and creates a secondary angle, the AI starts breaking down. Because now the enemies need to rotate cover, reposition constantly, split aggression between both players, expose themselves while moving consistently. And movement creates vulnerability. That's why coordinated teams they can clear difficult content so efficiently. Not because everyone has insane builds, obviously that does help as well, but because they create overlapping pressure zones that destabilize enemy positioning. And this is also why stacking together too tightly is extremely dangerous. The moment your team loses angle diversity, the fight becomes predictable again. And predictable fights are slower, harder, and extremely much more dangerous. If this breakdown is helping you understand combat differently even already, make sure to subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of content and tactical analysis we are going to keep diving into on this channel. Repositioning is a control tool, and it doesn't mean retreating, okay? This is another mistake newer players constantly make. They think repositioning means retreating. No. Good repositioning is about influence, because the battlefield is constantly evolving. Enemy aggression may change between players, flanks may open, cover becomes compromised, pressure shifts. And players who stay stationary too long becomes predictable, and predictable players get overwhelmed extremely fast. Elite players understand something extremely important. The best position is not always the safest one. It's the position that gives your team the most control over the fight. Sometimes moving aggressively to a better angle creates a safer spacing for your team. It creates a stronger pressure. It creates an easier target to focus on. It creates even a cleaner enemy isolation. That's simply tactical repositioning. And this is one of the reasons support roles become so valuable in coordinated teams. Strong support players help stabilize movements by simply reducing pressure spikes. They creating safer reposition windows for everyone. They're sometimes controlling aggression flow, preventing chaos from escalating. Good teams move like a system, not like isolated players hiding behind some random cover. The fourth point on the list of today's debriefing is simply the fact that elite players force AI mistakes. Now this right here is where things get really interesting. Because enemy AI in the Division Resurgence is not random. It's about reaction. And it reacts to pressure, proximity, suppression, and even exposed angles. And high players can abuse this constantly. Let me give you an example. When enemies get pressure from multiple sides, right? They often leave cover too early, reposition into bad angles even, expose weak spots, stagger their movements timing, and so on and so forth. That's not luck. That's battlefield manipulation. Another example, a bulwark giving frontline pressure often forces enemies to panic retreat. They break their formation, split their fire from between enemies. They even stop advancing. They may even retreat. And suddenly the fight becomes dramatically easier. This is also why tanks are in frontliners. Players are secretly much stronger than people realize. Not just because they survive damage, but because they influence enemy behavior directly. Shock traps are another perfect example. They don't just provide utility, they interrupt enemy combat rhythm, and rhythm is everything in difficult content. The moment enemies' rhythm collapse, their aggression weakens because they keep swapping between enemies. Their pushes start going everywhere because they start going towards you, but then they retreat out of nowhere. Their positioning breaks. Pressure disappears even. It becomes much easier for you to cause damage on the enemy. And that's why elite teams capitalize it completely. Now this is something that most players get completely confused, because it's absolutely not the same. And it's the fact that tactical aggression is not the same as reckless aggression. This is one of the biggest differences between average and advanced players. Bad players rush blindly. Good players apply controlled pressure. And those are completely different things. Reckless aggression ignores the positioning that you have, the support timing, the enemy's attention, the team spacing, and even the cooldown cycles. Tactical aggression, on the other hand, it's a completely different thing. For example, a front line pushes becomes powerful when an enemy are distracted, when the pressure angles already exist, when the buffs are active, when the teammates are ready to follow up. Now aggression creates control instead of chaos. And this is why experienced players sometimes look insanely aggressive without actually being reckless, because they understand exactly when enemy stability is breaking, and that's the moment they push. This is also why support and tanks become so important in coordinated teams. They create safe aggression windows, and safe aggression wins every single fight. Now, for the final topic of today's debriefing is the fact that high-level combat is really solely about momentum control. This is probably the deepest concept in the entire video today. Good players are not simply trying to survive fights, they are controlling momentum. And if you're playing difficult content long enough, you can actually feel momentum shifts happening. Sometimes your team is chaining kills, maintaining pressure, controlling enemy movement, dominating space. That's positive momentum. But then suddenly, someone goes down, positioning collapses, enemy starts pushing, buffs disappear, panic takes over, and momentum flips instantly. Elite players are amazing at preventing that collapse. Trust me, I've seen it. Because they understand spacing, they understand the fact that repositioning timing matters. Pressure management, support stabilization, aggression control. That's why support and tank roles become so valuable in endgame. They stabilize momentum, and stabilized momentum wins encounters consistently. So you see, agents, this is why good players never play fair in the Division Resurgence. Because high-level combat is not solely about aiming better, it's not solely about stacking more DPS, or simply having stronger gear. It's about understanding that pressure angles matter, repositioning, that the battlefield control is important. It's about forcing AI mistakes, tactical aggression, and absolutely, it's about momentum manipulation. And once you start understanding those systems, combat starts feeling random. You stop reacting to fights and start controlling them. And honestly, that's when the game becomes really interesting. Because underneath all the systems, all the builds and damage numbers, the Division Resurgence is secretly a game about battlefield control. And the players who understand that are usually the ones making hard content look effortless. If you enjoyed this debrief, drop a like so I know you want more tactical breakdowns like this. Stay sharp out there, agents. AgentHuntzman, signing out.